All right. Guys, welcome back to Win with Buyers. This is step seven, post-close systems. We have a huge pleasure and privilege of being with Dean Otto. And I know, Dean, you have your market center on Maui. We have our market center on Oahu. I'm sure there is very few people who do not know who you are, but for those couple that don't, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in the industry and what makes
Sure,
you Dean Otto.
sure. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. And thanks for inviting me. Um, I really do enjoy these. It's a lot of fun for me. So thank you. Um, so I've been in the business for like about 100 years. And actually, no, that's not true. It's about pushing 30 years, believe it or not. I mean, it's crazy. I can't even imagine how fast time flies by. But graduated college at the University of Oregon and moved to Maui with my wife, who's from Maui, and got immediately into real estate literally within the first few months. I had the opportunity to join a great company, Kapalua, and really had a great start in real estate early on. But to be honest with you, I fumbled my way through my first 20 years or so without any really great direction, and I kind of learned my own ways and just kind of figured it out, by trial and error. And I keep telling people now that I wish Keller Williams was around when I first started. And I tell people that, nowadays, it can take you 5 years to do what took me 20 years. So I think we're really fortunate to have all this great information and systems and models in place that we can just tap into. And it's something that we never had. And certainly many of us out there that regret not having it earlier on. So I really enjoyed my 4 years with the Keller Williams. I was with two boutiques prior to Keller Williams, a company of 6 and a company of 8. So I went from like the smallest companies in the world to the largest company in the world. And, it's been one of the greatest moves that I've made in my business career, was to be able to tap into a huge, massive organization like this and really pretty early on figured out how to leverage the benefits of this great company. And, it's just been a great run for me. So it's sort of culminating this year in what's going to be my best year in real estate in the 30 years that I've been practicing. And it's just been a thrill for me to be able to get to this point and work really hard for it. And I'm enjoying every moment of it. And this has been an interesting year. I've really enjoyed this year for many reasons. One is I think real estate is a great business when there's adversity, because I think adversity creates opportunities. And if you really have a great game and you can bring value to the table, this is when you can really compete. And I'd say when I've made my most gains in market share has been in a down market or when there's adversity. So I'm a big fan of adversity, and I think it creates opportunities for us. So I've been almost 30 years in the business. And this year, my goal is to sell 60 million, and I believe I'm on track to do that. And I'm just really excited
Amazing.
about how well it's been going and the changes that I've made in my life and my business that have gotten me to this point. And many of those changes coincided with the pandemic, to be honest. And I was really in the process of changing strategy and reevaluating my business in the beginning of this year. After a good year last year, but it was really looking to find ways to scale up in this business. And I think made some really interesting adjustments this year that really sort of coincided with what was going on with the pandemic, in the sense of, people are much more relational. People want to go deeper into relationships. My goal is to cut down my database and be much more closely connected with my people in my database. So I've really focused on, the experience and my level of service. And I've been really focused this year on education. As I was telling Lisa yesterday, so sorry if I'm boring you guys, but I think what happened with me was, I think it was Gary Keller. They have these great, masterminds that I'm a part of. And I think ultimately we saw this shift coming, and we saw the fact that, people want to engage. They wanted the experience. They're not really that concerned about how much my volume is. They're more concerned about what their experience is. And I think all of us got caught up in this competition with each other about, who could do the most volume. And I had this really interesting conversation with the client one day, and I was telling him how great I was and what was great volume I'd done. I was doing all these great things, and he just looked me straight in the face and said, you know, are you done? And I was like, yeah. He said, well, the bottom line is when I call you, you never pick up the phone. And that really all he was concerned about. You know, I had all this great pitch, I had everything covered up. It really felt like I was in a good place, and he didn't really care. He was like, you know, I can't get you on the phone. So I really took that to heart, and really looked at you know, what I'm doing with my clients and how I'm keeping in touch with them and what my relationship is with them. And you know, there was a great statement that was on the mastermind that I was on, where they said, you know, the high performing, high net worth people are not, you know, they're not playing the outer game, they're playing the inner game. So what he's saying is the most successful people aren't competing with their peers. What they're doing is they're competing with themselves, they're driving themselves, and they're driven by mastering their craft, not by competing with what the other guy's doing down the road. And so I really learned a lot from those, you know, those brief masterminds that I was in, and learned that, you know, ultimately, you know, we need to do a better job in taking care of our clients. And I think this leads into this section on the post-close systems. And when I saw these classes coming up, you know, I knew somehow that I was going to end up with this section, because that's the part that I'm probably the worst at, you know, that I have not been successful in the past. So I love this section because of it. And honestly, recognizing that I have not done well with keeping in touch with people from way back in my 20-year career has really caused me to really flip my business around and really focus on this part of the business, right? So it's one thing to get new business, but it's as much of a challenge as to retain business. And you know, Lisa, and this goes way back, Lisa and I had an interview, she interviewed me one day, and we talked about the fact that if you look at the percentage of clients that are using the agents they worked with previously, it's shocking. I mean, I can't remember the specific number, but it was like 20% or 28% or some crazy number like this, where people will use the same agent that they used last time. It's a mind-blowing statistic, and I think that really, you know, made me realize that, man, I need to do a better job at this. And this really is what we're talking about, yeah, post-closing systems. I mean, that's how you retain clients, right? So I worked really hard on this section to create a program and a system that keeps me in front of my clients. And I've really worked hard to focus on how I can develop much more personal, much more closer, much deeper relationships with my client. So that meant restructuring my business. It meant a lot of studying and a lot of classes. I've taken training on the Ritz-Carlton gold standard management training program that's offered through the Ritz-Carlton and the luxury division. I rewrote my playbook on the level of service that I plan to deliver, and I took some notes here, and I think it's just very interesting to me that this all kind of happened at about the same time. You know, as the pandemic came, as we felt this shift in the market, the shift away from how much volume can you create versus, you know, how deep relationships can you get. So for me, I stopped all marketing on new raw leads like Facebook and all that kind of stuff, and really just focused on my people. And so I was really just limiting myself to people that I had contact with in the past, and really trying to wow them with an experience that would be so phenomenal that they would want to give me more referrals. So instead of going out looking for raw leads, I was looking to my existing clients, looking to elevate my relationship with them, elevate my service standards, and you know, ask for the referrals from my existing clients rather than trying to find raw leads. And that's been really successful for me. So I really worked hard at it. And I think something we can all learn from is that, you know, once you sell a property, it's not just keeping in touch with that client, but it's really wowing that client with an experience that's going to want them to refer their friends and families to you. Does that make sense?
With all that said, yeah, why don't you get started? You can start sharing your screen, and
Sure.
you can walk us
Let me
through.
share my screen here a second. Yeah, where's my screen? Uh-oh, I just passed there. How can I not share my screen here? 1 second. Oh, there we go, sorry. All right. let's see, can you guys see this? Uh-oh, where did it go?
But we can see half of it.
How about that?
There you go. Yep,
That work? Okay,
you
great.
can see it.
Sorry about that. Technical glitch. There we go. So let's start here. Why am I not moving? You know, here we are. I'm assuming all of you have done the first 6 sections already, and I'm curious to know how you guys are all doing with it and whether you've learned a lot from it. But here we are at the final stage, post system, which I'm telling you is probably the most important now. Excuse me. And I'm not sure why my thing isn't moving here. Let me try that. Create clients for life. I mean, really, that's ultimately my #1 priority in my business right now, is creating the experience during the escrow that's going to be exceptional. I've been working with not only the Ritz-Carlton training program, but I also have worked pretty closely with Brady Sandahl, who's one of the luxury leaders in the Keller Williams division, and created, excuse me, created this really high level system that is just constantly wowing the clients throughout the process. So, you know, he created 7, what does he call it? 7 defining moments of a transaction and a relationship. I've created my own. I think he customized all these programs. I have 6 of them. But ultimately, from the day that I meet the client, through the process, at every significant event, like the photography is done, the property is listed, you know, we have, get into escrow, closings, all that. They all involve some sort of a opportunity for me to provide some gift of some kind or some kind of experience that's going to really make them excited about what we're doing, and just makes the experience really fun. So I'm buying them gifts, you know, I'm doing all kinds of fun stuff like that. I actually, if any of you know me, I'm very passionate about my vegetable garden and growing fruit trees, and also I'm very passionate about that, and my clients know that because it's all over social media. Most of my clients call me to ask how my garden is going, and I have to remind them that I'm a real estate broker. You know, so I love that part of it, and I think that they do too. And so for me, at the end of a closing, when I can give them a plant to plant in their garden or a fruit tree to plant in their garden, it really means a lot to them. I don't do a lot of expensive gifts, but I do things that have meaning and significance to the relationship, and they come from the heart, right? So I spend a lot of time, you know, providing gifts of value, and that keeps me top of mind. Real play right away. Grow your network with gratitude. I mean, it's just can't tell you how much that is working in today's market, in today's world, with coronavirus and the pandemic and all that we're faced with right now. You know, people want to communicate. They love to communicate. They want to talk. You have to create your own methods and communications. I love writing handwritten notes instead of sending emails. It's got to be a way that you all can personalize your communications with your clients so that it's unique and customized for your situation. Let me see here. Creating clients for life, continue. So the technology advantage, you know, obviously with KW Command, there's a huge opportunity to build in campaigns and programs that extend beyond marketing for the client. So what we're doing is creating campaigns that are for clients that are in my database who have already bought properties, and customize the programs for people, not just who, you know, you're looking to try and buy something, but taking care of the people that have taken care of you in the past. Testimonials, I think, are probably one of the most important marketing tools right now. So I always try to get testimonials from my clients and put them into my newsletters, because I think it's so much better if someone else is giving you a testimony than you trying to convince them that that you're so great. It certainly sounds so much better coming from someone else. So I'm constantly taking sections out of emails and testimonials that I'm getting and incorporating it into my marketing. Social media, oh man, I can't tell you, social media has really been a game changer for me. Since for this year, I've really spent very little on marketing. This is going to be my best year in real estate for sure, and I've spent almost zero on marketing. And the reason for that is I'm doing primarily social media. and e-blasting and newsletters. These are all online, mechanisms that have wide reach right now, particularly during the pandemic, because everyone's sort of sitting at home staring at their mobile phones or their devices. So there's such an opportunity with social media, and the opportunity is really to personalize the social media, to not just be putting real estate photos on it. I mean, for me, it's it's beach, sunset, vegetable garden, all kinds of things. And I'm involved in a school, which has been a big one for me. I think community service, I'm going to tell you, is probably one of my greatest tools, one of my greatest lead generators. Most people think that, they don't, when they think lead generation, they think open house, they think Facebook, but there's certainly opportunities outside of the real estate business too. And I've chosen community service as one of my main pitches to my clients. It's the thing I commit a lot of time to. I have been involved in starting a new school in West Maui called Maui Prep. So 13 years ago, I was a founding member of a school. I was the board president for the last 8 years. I've donated over $500,000 to the school, and it's been a major part of my life and a major effort and super rewarding. And it's actually been one of my great lead generators. I think if you ever have any desire to get into the high level of luxury, then community service becomes critical. I felt like in order for me to get to the highest level of the high net worth clients on Maui, I had to have something else other than real estate. And the community service part of it was really big. I remember going to an event with Lisa and Colette, and one of the big well-known chefs came in and came and started talking to me, and his wife was with him, and they knew me as the president of the school board. They did not know me as a real estate broker. Colette about fell off her chair, thinking, "Oh my God, it's terrible. How could you do this?" But I really like that. I like not being known just as a real estate broker. I like the fact that people can relate to me, and then they know that I just don't have my hand out taking, but that I'm someone that's willing to give back. And I made a major commitment to this program, and the high net worth clients recognize that and they appreciate that. And I think that's what it took to get into their, get into that level. Maybe I can share one little trick. I think it's just a great idea for anyone that's thinking about community service. And what I did with Maui Prep was I incorporated it into my business. I generated over $500,000 in donations to the school by what I was doing is I was sort of building it into my real estate business. So what I would do is, if I knew I was going into a listing where I was only going to get 5% commission because they'd either listed at 5% before, or I just knew that was going to be the deal, I always went in and pressed really hard for 6%. And in the negotiation of that commission, I ended up proposing, instead of me just going from 6 to 5%, that we take that 1% and we donate it to a local charity. So that would really be a benefit to the charity, and the seller would look like a hero, donating to the local schools. And it was really an interesting program. I would say I had tremendous success with it. And I actually ended up raising almost $500,000 that actually didn't come out of my pocket. So if you think about that, that's really a great way to be involved in your community. I had a recent case where I had a client who was in a backup position on a $15 million property that was in escrow. And this client came to me as a listing agent and said, "What can I do to get into the first position?" And I said, what would really make sense for this seller would be if you made a donation to his local charity. And I didn't pull it off, but almost got a $250,000 donation to the school as a result of a client trying to get attention of the seller when he was in that backup position. Now the other agent jumped in the end and go, "Hey, why don't we offer the seller the extra $250,000?" And I didn't end up getting the donation to the school, but he did agree to raise his price to $250,000. But I think that there's an opportunity there, and I think that the opportunity with community service is huge. People want to see that. I think that's how you're going to get tremendous business from it, and people are going to respect you even more than you are. And you don't need to sit there and just write checks. There are ways to do it where you can kind of work it into your business and leverage some of the opportunities that come out of that. I know that when I signed this deal to do this program initially, this is like some 10 years ago, literally the week after I agreed to the program, I sold a property for 9.7 million and made a $97,000 donation to the school, which was just a great experience. And it actually was money that did not come out of my pocket. I was only going to get 5% anyway, right? So I think that's an interesting idea that I think anyone can do. And I love the fact that, you know, I now have, you know, the Dean Otto administration building at the school and the Otto lobby and all kinds of stuff because of all the hard work I put into it. But, you know, the reality is that money never really came out of my pocket. So it's just, I think, a great opportunity to make your mark in your community. I think it's going to go a long way. But anyway, I'm not sure I got off on that tangent, but I think ultimately I see so much opportunity with community service. And I think we forget that community service is really a great lead generator for us. The social media part, man, I'm having so much fun with it. You know, I don't know that there's a formula for social media. I think everyone has to create their own. It's just such a personal, and there's only one way to do it, and that's to be authentic. So keep your social media authentic, but it's the social media that's an easy way to connect with your clients. You know, you don't have to sit there and type an email to a client. Social media is a great way to really get out there, and people do watch it. I'm blown away, to be honest with you, how many people are actually paying attention to the social media. I'm blown away. I get comments all the time that I'm meeting from people, random strangers, people that are coming into town, real estate brokers from across the country. And it's shocking to me that they're paying so much attention to my social media. I really have to be a little more conscious of that, because that's, you know, social media can work for and against you. You have to be careful. I'm rambling along here, guys. I want to know if anyone's got any questions, or if anything is coming up that you may want to talk more about. You need to stop me.
Nothing in the
Chad,
chat,
good?
but everyone is,
Okay.
there's good feedback on some of the ideas that you had about community service and
Community
contributions. I
service
think
is
that's
a big
great stuff.
one. It's a big one. You know, I think that's, for me, been a big part of my recent success, I would say. Closing a file. I mean, yeah, this has got to be pretty basic stuff, right? So we all know, and we're all required to deliver complete, compliant escrow files and all. It's really the follow-up more than anything, closing the file. It's what happens to that name, what happens to that contact once that deal closes. And this is where I've fallen short in the past. You know, there's a tremendous opportunity there, I think, in not only keeping contact with the client and staying ahead of him or her, but ultimately there's so many potential referrals that come from your existing clients as well. Ask for the business, right? So part of my program is to deliver this incredible new level of service that I'm very excited about, developed from Ritz-Carlton and other classes and stuff that I've learned over the last 6 months. But the key is, of any of these strategies, is to actually ask for the business, right? So we don't do it enough, is definitely the case. But when I go out there and I buy a gift for a client, or do some exceptional thing for a client that they're really excited about, that's when I ask for the business, right? So if I'm buying gifts, if I'm wowing them in some way, you know, I'm leveraging those gifts by asking for business at that time. You don't want to ask for business, you know, you want to wait for the right opportunity to ask for the business. So in our opinion, it's wow them with something great, and then it's ask for the business, right? Have a system in place to keep your files organized and orderly. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I could learn from that one for sure. Being organized, I mean, you can't, obviously that's going to be a key. Wait, how did I skip forward here? Wait a second, what happened there? Putting it all together. So I kind of buzzed through that, guys. You know, there's not a whole lot of content, in my opinion, for that section, other than strategies of keeping in touch with people. And I think, you know, one of the interesting um, points that I got from mastermind that I was in this morning. So I was up at 4 o'clock this morning in the Gary Keller individual single agent mastermind, which is really fun. But what they're saying is that 67% of people, they don't relist with the same agent 67% of the time because they don't have an emotional connection. So it's not enough anymore to just do a good job and close an escrow. People's expectations are much greater now. If you don't deliver that exceptional experience that invokes an emotional reaction or relationship with the client, chances are they're not going to use you. So it's not about whether you did the job or not. It's about what the experience was like. And I think it's that experience that I've committed my focus to be able to deliver and be able to not only get those clients for life, but to get their referrals for life as well. Lisa, do you have any questions for me?
No, I think so. A lot of the comments that so the comments were like Michael was saying he attended the Ritz-Carlton Service Symposium years ago, and said it was a very rewarding opportunity. And I was just stating that the community is your business. It's tied in. And yeah, I think you do a really good job of that. As far as the post-closing systems, I think the key that I see with you is, I don't know if it's necessarily a system as systemized, but you in particular do a great job of, you take relationship building to a very deep level, much deeper than most agents do. And I think that that is one thing that really sets you apart, allows you to have a lot of repeat business and referred business, and sustains that ultra luxury clientele. Because as you've stated time and time again, especially in the ultra luxury market, and really in any market, no matter who your clientele is, that deep relationship is so critical. And that relationship is the business relationship, right? That there really isn't, it's not about like this person. And I heard a great quote the other day, which made me think of you, with the idea that there is no such thing as a past client. There is no such thing as a past client, like, because of the consistent relationship that you have. Your clients are they're your friends, and certainly at different levels, but you really go deep in that relationship. And that's where I see the results come from. And that's it. It's almost feels seamless, and not that you're not really putting a system together, but your system is that you focus on the relationship. That's it.
I'm trying to focus more on that system. You're right. But I think ultimately it is, especially in luxury, I think it's so relational. And all my clients, but majority of my clients have become my good friends, and it's really been fun. It's just such a great business. I couldn't imagine why anyone would want to do anything other than sell luxury real estate. It's super fun. But talking about the Ritz-Carlton, let me give you an example. I mean, for me, I rewrote kind of a little playbook based on, when I'm taking these classes now, I'm not just sitting there listening to the class, I'm actually trying to incorporate them into my business, right? So I've created my own service values. I could read them off for you if you guys are interested. Just a little bit of what I'm doing to elevate my service. But I've created a list of what I call special service values. So I pledge to provide the finest personal service where individual aspirations are exceeded. I fulfill even the unexpressed wishes and needs of my clients. That's from the Ritz-Carlton. I'm dedicated to principles of trust, honesty, respect, integrity, and commitment. I own and immediately resolve clients' problems. I build strong relationships and develop clients for life. I'm a concierge and a resource center for my clients. I protect the privacy and confidentiality of my clients. And then I go into 6 defining moments, or the 6 stages of a relationship where, I'm giving them a book, a pen at the signing, different little things that are small but very significant and impactful. My ultimate goal, which is what I rewrote at the beginning of this year, is to become the most productive real estate agent in Hawaii, the most productive luxury real estate agent in Hawaii, who changed the standards of what is possible with a superior level of personal service and professionalism never seen before in the state of Hawaii. And that sounds pretty ambitious right there, but it's my goal. My promise is genuine care for my client's best interest is my highest mission, with an uncompromising commitment to deliver an experience that is unrivaled, unique, and memorable. So I've kind of taken those to heart, and I've just really sat with them and worked with them and just really developed a business around it. And to be honest with you, I've been working on these kinds of things for 2 years now with the coach. And it's hard for me not to say that my business doubled the first year and has almost doubled again this year. It's been crazy. I haven't really changed anything. All I've done is just been hyper focused on the client, the relationship, and the creating this really great experience that these people are really excited about. And I think it just falls really in line with the pandemic, where people need more attention. They want to be more relational. They want those experiences now. And I was kind of working on that before this happened. So when coronavirus hit, man, I was all over it because I pivoted immediately before anyone else, in my opinion, and was successful out of the gate. The 7 or 8 months of this pandemic would be my best year ever in 30 years of real estate. Just the 7 or 8 months, without anyone on the island, without any business. And that's really purely from coaching. It's from focus. It's from setting my goals and being real clear about what I'm trying to do, being very purposeful. And with my coach, identifying and eliminating all the obstacles and just creating a pathway for me to get where I want, and really have gotten there through one thing only, and that's through mindset. She has just constantly drilled in me that I could sell $60 million this year. I was at 30 million last year, 35 million, 32. So I actually laughed at her when she said that, But over the year, it's just been consistently drummed into me 60 million that my mindset is just so focused. I don't even think about it. I'm manifesting it basically. And I've been so focused on it without even realizing it. I'm like over 50 million already this year. So it's been an amazing experience. Coaching has been the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's put me on track, and it's gotten rid of all the obstacles, and it's allowed me to realize my full potential. And I was just bogged down with too many things, taking on too much, not being focused, trying to run a school and do all these things. So I've gotten out of all that stuff now, and I've just had this really, really crystal clear focus on the goal. But it's really not just the goal. It's really the pathway and the action plan to get to the goal. And my coach has this great saying. It's a little bit kind of strange, but I think it's very appropriate for us in real estate, because it's not the goal. For me, now that I'm getting to $60 million after this whole year, just thinking 60 million, now I'm actually there. And I'm like, wow, I thought it'd be like more exciting. You know what I mean? It's like, where's all the celebrations and all? And it really wasn't, and she's been very careful to explain to me that it's really not the goal. It's the process, right? It's kind of like, there's a saying, it's a French saying, so forgive me, but there's a French saying, la petite mort. And what that means is there's a tiny death with climax. If you think of sex, now I've got everyone's attention. If you're thinking about sex, it's the foreplay. You know what I mean? It's that what this meaning says is that, the climax, there's a tiny death that comes with climax. It's really the process that's the most important thing. It's the ramp up, and it's the road, it's the foreplay. And so that, it's a good lesson for me, because when I finally got there, it wasn't disappointing, but it wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be. What was exciting is this ramp up and this process of just everything just falling into place and coming together. Not even sure how, just mindset and manifesting that somehow I was going to get to 60 million. I didn't know how, but it is all, if I stayed focused on 60 million, it just happened and unfolded and all came together. And, it's hard for me to explain other than I just feel like I'm very well coached.
So Dean, you also, I think what you're talking about too, and we talk a lot about, it's really an important point to push, is the journey. And the whole idea is to develop something that it changes you as a person and the way that you do things and the way that you think, so that you can duplicate that every year, that becomes your new floor, right? That just becomes your new floor, and then you're growing from there. And by doing the things that you're doing, that activity, that's taking care of itself. And I love what you said about, you mentioned this, you kind of read off what you wrote down about what you wanted to see in your business. I think we focused a lot on goals sometimes in terms of like a monetary or a production number or unit number. And what you're painting is really a vision for the business, what you want to see, what is it all for? What are these goals leading up to? And I think that we don't do that enough. I mean, I certainly don't. I don't think our agents in general do. I think we get very focused on the specific goals, and you do
Right.
need to know what that path looks like. But
Right.
the vision, if you
Right.
don't have that vision, it's going to be a lot harder for you to
It
make
starts
those
with the
goals
vision, exactly right. It starts with the vision, but it's not the vision, it's the
Exactly.
journey. You know, the journey is the deal. And I've learned, you know, so much about it, and it's just been really interesting for me too. It's been, you know, coaching is like life. It's you know, business is part of it, but it's fundamentally life, you know. And it's my goals have been primarily not financial. My goals have been to be, you know, happy and stress-free, and you know, it's sort of very simple, basic things. But you know, how I get there, obviously finances is a part of it, but finance is not the goal. You know what I'm saying? So my goals are beyond finances, is to get to a space that I can love life and enjoy and be happy and stress-free. You know, so you know, money will certainly play a part in that. I had a really interesting mastermind with Gary Keller this morning, 4 o'clock. So if I fall asleep, you'll know why. But so they talked a lot about the business and perspective, which I think is great, because we're business people, right? And the perspective of where we are today with the, you know, pandemic and things changing on the mainland and political and what have you. And it looked at a bunch of different people, and Bill Gates was one of them. I think he's just an amazing individual. But they were very, very careful to point out that luck plays a really big part of a lot of people's great success. And I thought it was interesting how they talked so much about luck today and how important luck is. And we create our own luck, obviously. But luck is equal to risk in Gary Keller's mind. So you can't get lucky without taking risk. You can also fail, you know, and there's been a lot of cases of people, there's been a lot of brilliant people that have failed. But he says, one of the key things for us today is to remain optimistic, but also to be pessimistic. And that pessimistic part is really a big part of how successful people have been successful. And Bill Gates is a good example. He took as much risk as anyone in business, but Bill Gates has never planned a strategy for a year where he doesn't have 1 year of operating expenses saved away somewhere for his company, regardless of how big Microsoft is. They have 1 year of operating expenses, so that if they go 1 year with no revenue, they'll still be fine. So what they're saying is, build a moat around your business. You know, you want to be as optimistic and ambitious and take risk, but you also want to be pessimistic to protect your downside and build a moat around your business and hold some cash, so that if you are taking risk and it doesn't work out, you're still going to be okay. And they're saying that today, that's more important than ever, is to build a moat around your business. You want to be optimistic, but you've got to be smart too about it, right? I just thought that was really interesting. Warren Buffett, another interesting story. People are like, oh my gosh, he's one of the most amazing individuals of all time. He actually was investing since he was 10 years old, and he started early and created a huge amount of wealth. But as wealthy as he is today, 97% of his wealth was generated after he was 65 years old. So we're in this thing long term. You know, this is a long term deal, man. You can't make fortune overnight, right? And you can if you get lucky. But you know, if you look at the people that have done extremely well, they've put a long period of time into this. This is a compounding investment of time. And even if you look at the most successful people, it took Warren Buffett from age 10 to, 65 before he really made 97% of his wealth that he's known for today. You know, which is interesting. So there's a major commitment of time long term. There's a optimistic mentality, but also a pessimistic attitude to build a moat around your business. And they pulled out some of these really interesting, you know, facts about some of the most successful people in the world. And, you know, luck is a big part of it, and risk, but they're the same thing in his opinion. But that I like the idea of building a moat around your business too, and creating some savings or some, you know, what if the market tanks? You want to be able to survive it, you know. So there was some really interesting conversations today. Any questions?
Feel free to unmute yourself or put in the chat. One thing that while people are kind of figuring that out too, one thing I'll mention as well, Dean, thank you again for taking the time and coming from contribution. I think it's a little bit humbling, you know, it's for someone like yourself to say, you know, I didn't really do much. I just focused on relationships. That's one of the things that Gary Keller says is super important. That's why we oddly enough, we're building the technology that we have not to be in the middle of a relationship, but to enhance the relationship.
Exactly.
And relationship is everything. If it's hard, it's much harder for a client not to want to do business with somebody that they call a friend or someone that they can trust. I
Right.
think that's where people get disloyal. So that the relationship is everything. And you know, guys, if you want to be as successful as Dean, build a relationship and have a cool accent. So at least we can do one of them. The other one, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I keep trying to convince my assistants and my staff that I actually do have game, and they're like, no, no, you have an accent. But no, it's a lot of fun. You got to have fun too. I mean, let's face it. I don't work with anyone that can't have fun, so we got to enjoy this, man. We're in the greatest business that ever exists. I couldn't imagine there's a greater business out there where you can make this kind of money. I mean, we're well paid as the most expensive attorneys when you think about it. You know, so
Oh yeah.
I take that seriously, man. You know, we got to deliver something that's really special. When I have a client that's selling a $15 million house, yeah, you got to have your act together, you know. And I love working with clients, the biggest clients. My biggest clients are my most favorite to work with because they put the most, they value my expertise more than anyone. My most highest end clients value what I bring to the table more than anyone else has ever. So I have a client who just closed on a $15.5 million sale. We've been negotiating back and forth with the buyer. They came up to 15.2 million. And like he would always do with me, he would say, what do you want to do? You know, what do you want to counter it? Or what do you want to accept it? What do you want to do? You know, he made me set the list price. He made me do the counter price. He's not stepping in. He's like, I'm paying you a lot of money. I expect you to be able to lead me through this and get the result. And I always wanted to get to the 15.5 million, but when they came in at 15.2, I was like, oh man, you know, do I just tell them to take it and get it over with already? Or do I do what I really wanted to all along, which was if they got to that point, I was going to counter at 15.8 and we're going to try and settle at 15.5. And so he was like, well, whatever you want to do, we'll do. If you want me to take it, I'll take it. If you want me to counter, I'll counter. I was like, man, that is pressure, right? And I told them to counter at 15.8 and they came up to 15.5 and the deal went through. But it was a super nerve-wracking time. And $15 million deals don't come around that much. And to potentially almost screw that up would have been a problem. It worked out. And he was super happy that he made an extra $300,000. And, you know, you see, it's just, I love working with people that are that sophisticated because, you know, they know that I'm in the best position to manage that negotiation and the values, and that's my expertise. And he wants me to make the call and earn my money. No one ever does that to me. You know, no under $10 million sale has anyone ever said you counter whatever you think is right. Every other transaction is like, this is what you're going to do, you know, and you try to provide input. But, you know, to me, I love that part of it. You know?
I think another takeaway that I heard too is Dean, you know, last year, although he doubled his production and he did, you know, 30 million last year, that's already phenomenal. So the fact that you're doing 60 million this year is unbelievable. But what my takeaway is no matter what level of success you're at, I don't know how many times you guys heard it, but I literally counted that he mentioned coaching at least 15 times. And coaching is, you know, there's no limit or ceiling to how much you need a coach or how, because everyone has blind spots. No matter, it's not a indication that you're not successful. It's really you need someone else helping to hold you accountable,
Right.
to help you see some of the blind spots, and that's a great testament to everyone that's on this call. Lean into your coach.
It's been a game changer 100%. I mean, I was never the coaching type. You know, I was one of those people like, what? That's crazy. You know, I'm so into it right now. I can't even tell you. I've done, you know, 180 on not only my business, everything I do has changed. I mean, literally my life has changed, the way I think. You know, you have to be aware of your thoughts. I think people talk about limiting beliefs all the time. I love that part. You know, everyone's like, oh, that's a limiting belief. But no one really, what do you do about a limiting belief? You know, how do you work around that? And coaching really is the way. Limiting beliefs are obstacles. So if you have a limiting belief, you need to know how to get it out of the way, put it in its place, and move past it. And we just can't do that ourselves. I don't know why. These things have to be worked out by other people helping you to identify them. So I have all the answers. My coach has not given me any answers. She's just pointed out what I already knew and holds me accountable to it. And then she takes me into the places that I'm uncomfortable in, because ultimately to scale up to the next level, for me to get to the next plateau, I have to take on the spaces that I'm uncomfortable with. And that's the only way that I'm going to get to the next level. I've tried everything else, right? So there's just so much in that. I can't even begin to tell you how much coaching has meant to me, and not only in real estate, but in my life. And it's just the 2 years of coaching and what it's done to my real estate career has been mind-boggling, in my opinion, for me. And it's just really amazing process that it's just, I've just come alive. I just feel like I'm a different person because of it. And I'm so comfortable in my skin. I'm so much more confident in the sales situation. You know, everything has been removed, and I just have a clear pathway to getting the deal done and creating this great relationship. So I can't, if you don't have a coach, I mean, it's something that you should try. I was absolutely the person that would like never have hired a coach. I was also the same person that said I'd never go to a conference of 18,000 people because that would be crazy. And I've been to every one so far. And I've given presentations at them, and it's just, you know, I really am a big fan of the company and what they've done for me. And it just wasn't available to me through any other company or anything really. It just really has shown me a way that's just rocked my world, you know, so pretty happy about that. And I've been with it now for 4 years, and I know Lisa's going to bring it up, but I was like, it took the longest to recruit me in the history of the company. I wasn't completely convinced, and Colette kept paying for lunches, so I just kept coming back. And it was only when she made me start paying for lunches, that's when I signed up. But I've enjoyed it. It's been great. Lisa's been amazing. Colette's been amazing, and have tapped into all of these resources and these just thoughts and ideas that had never entered my mind before, and have really blown me away. So I'm really fired up right now and looking forward to that. I don't even know what I'm going to do next year, but it's going to be awesome. I can tell you that. It's going to be fun too.
Yes, thank you so much, Dean. It's been so great. I wanted to share one other takeaway that I had from you earlier when you were talking about it was some of the Ritz-Carlton stuff, and you mentioned, I typed it in the chat box, which is the unexpressed needs of your clients. I mean, that's really powerful when you think about being proactive and understanding. I mean, what do you have to know about that person? What kind of questions do you have to ask to know what their unexpressed needs are and be able to satisfy them? Like, that is such a powerful statement, in my opinion, that shows you how deep that level of relationship needs to be. So I loved that. And yeah, the coaching, I mean, having somebody, I see the work. It's work that you wouldn't necessarily do also on your own. Like you said, they show you blind spots, which Chad was saying, they show you different things about your limiting beliefs, and then you know the path and you know the work that you need to do to get there. And it just helps you get there. And the jump that you take from just taking those incremental steps is so tremendous. So
it compounds, you're right.
Yeah,
I really learned how to neutralize. It was one of my great ahas from coaching was, you know, look, if we have no control over something, then it's neutral. Get it out of the way, put it in its place. It is what it is, and move on. But don't get stuck on it, because that's what we do. We get stuck on things we have no control over, like what the competition's doing or coronavirus. You know, for me, coronavirus was never going to be a problem because it was something that I have no control over, and it's completely unpredictable. So if that's the case, why are we even, you know, why are we even talking about it? It is what it is. It's unfortunate. It's a horrible thing. We get that. But we can only focus on what we have control over. And for me, you know, having a coronavirus was a good example because we have no control over it. It's unpredictable. Therefore, it's neutral. And if it's neutral, then, you know, if you're someone that, you know, feared the worst, and, you know, most people go drama and negative. That's just how we wired. But that if you think about it, if it's neutral and unpredictable, then the alternative is equally as likely because it's unpredictable, right? So instead of going drama and negative, I was always very positive and optimistic. And people couldn't argue with me because the argument was, if it's neutral, who says which way it can go? And I was right. And my prediction was that real estate's actually going to be really good, and Maui's going to become more popular than it ever was before. That was my prediction, you know? And people were like, wow, that's weird. I've never heard anyone being so positive right now about it. And I'm not being positive. I'm just picking on a neutral situation, which direction I want to go and what I want to talk about, what I want to focus on. So I had a lot of those conversations with people early on in coronavirus and flipped them from negative. I would ask them how they're doing and they just go into all this drama and negative. And then they'd ask me how I'm doing and it would be all this positive and opposite thing. Just explain to them like, man, we have no control, it's neutral. So I'm not even gonna put it in its place and this is where we're going. And I was able to back it up with results and sales and show people that, look, other people are buying, other people are in the market, they're buying sight unseen, and effectively had really good success converting people over to my side and giving them permission to play in this market when they were thinking, oh my God, this is crazy. Why would anyone think about even buying real estate right now? And I think a lot of it is, most people say that I'm annoyingly optimistic and positive, but, to me, there's no other way.
So good. Wonderful. Well, thank you again, Dean. I guess we're just about at time. So I would love to hear if anybody has another aha that they want to share, or if anybody has any questions that were not answered that they have for Dean. Chris Haig says, as a 10-year employee and manager with Ritz-Carlton, I agree the lessons learned from Ritz are life-changing too. So that's a good one to follow, is the Ritz. So anybody have any other takeaways to share or have a question for Dean?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So Dean, what kind of school did you donate to? Was it like middle school or elementary?
Oh, thank you. So Maui Prep is on the west side. It's in Napili, and it's a pre-K through 12th grade school. So it's doing really well. We struggled for many years. School is not a fun. If anyone told me how difficult it was, I would not have even gone remotely close to it. Really difficult business, but man, one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done is to be involved with the school and watching kids grow and flourish and graduate and go on and do great things. And it's just been one of the heartwarming experiences of my life. And I'm really proud of it. And it's worked out really well. I'm doing very well right now. But yeah, it's a school of about 250 kids and it's doing very well. So pretty excited about it. They just finished their brand new gym and school is doing well. So thank you for asking about that.
Yeah, thanks, Uni.
Yeah, very proud of that. Of all the things I've done, that's my proudest moment. I love real estate and I love athletics. I've been lucky enough to be in high level sports and done all kinds of fun things, but there's nothing like the reward from community service. So you should get out there and do it. And you can do it and not have to cost you a bunch of money. That's my secret sauce right there, because when you think about that, $500,000 is a lot of money. And I could never have donated $500,000 to a school in the last 5 years without doing something like that. But they're super appreciative of it, and they respect it and they appreciate it, and it's just been a great experience.
Thank you, Dean. So yeah, if you guys want to reach out to Dean, I'm like, he'd be happy to chat with you.
Come over, yes. Come and meet with me in my office at Whalers Village, please. Yes. Someone, please come and see me.
So thank you. This has been really great. Took some good notes. We appreciate you being here. And thank you to all of you for taking time out of your day to join us.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you.
You're awesome. Thank you, everybody. Aloha.
Thanks.
Bye, guys. See you next week.
Aloha.